get your curiosity right.
Matrix webcast,
Where the human spirit flies. Matrix webcast, where the human spirit flies.
Hey, welcome to the Medbix webcast. This is Raman Annam Raju. I'm the host. Yeah, we have a beautiful, wonderful guest today. Really very world-renowned guest. We have two beautiful women coming there. I don't know, I'm getting nervous. Beautiful and brilliant woman, making me nervous a little bit. You know, I don't get nervous easy, but they are two smart women coming here. But we are going to talk about nutrition a little bit, and she is a really top one of the pioneers in the nutrition. Before that, let me bring my co-host Susan Davis. She's joining from Fort Myers, still cold place. I don't know what is special going on there. Welcome, beautiful Susan Davis. So, what is anything special today? What's going on?
Well, first of all, I can't believe you're nervous at all, please, with myself and our amazing guest this evening, but I'll take that with a grain of salt. So it's wonderful down here in Florida. It's actually warming up a little bit. Thank you very much.
So there is something special going on with your life today, and the announcement is you are nominated for the American Heart Association by Most Impact Woman. Tell us a little bit about that.
Thank you for asking. This is the first week, so thank you so very much. Yes, I've been nominated by the American Heart Association as the 2026 Woman of Impact here in Southwest Florida, which is a huge honor. So what that means is this is Heart Month. How very appropriate with our guest this evening, cardiovascular health, at the top of the poll for importance when it comes to nutrition. But yes, so we're focusing on awareness, specifically cardiovascular health for women. It's important for everybody, but this month we're talking about women with the Go Red for women, and we're raising money and awareness. So that's what I'm doing. So I would love to have your guests join me. You can join my team to help me spread the word. It is a 9-week competition of how much awareness can we bring to the topic, and that's my goal. I really want to talk about it. I want to talk about how women are dying of cardiovascular disease, Ramana. It's the #1 killer. More than all of the cancers put together, which seems kind of crazy, doesn't it? And I don't think we talk about it enough. So maybe we'll touch on that this evening, a little bit about how nutrition affects our cardiovascular health. So anyone wanting to help me can go to rescuern.com and
rescuern.com. Yeah. So that is a place to go and support you. I think who doesn't want a woman with a pill, not supporting it. You have to do that.
And it's Valentine's Day, Ramana. It's Valentine's Day. You know what would be a really cool thing is to donate in the name of someone. We need heart warriors. There's probably people who are affected. Pretty much anyone watching has been affected by cardiovascular disease. So it'd be a great Valentine's Day gift. Awareness.
So let me introduce you our guest now, guest of the honor. Today on Medbix webcast, we welcome a physician whose life work proves that nutrition is not a side topic in medicine. It is a foundation itself. From her childhood in the Democratic Republic of Congo to hospital reform in Vietnam, from emergency relief in Bangladesh to train over 45,000 physicians across 100 plus countries, Dr. Carine Landers has worked at the intersection of science, systems, and survival. She is not just studying nutrition, she is redesigning how healthcare understands it. This is more than welcome. Dr. Landers, please welcome. Welcome to the Medbix webcast.
Thank you so much and good evening. It's very exciting to be with you today. I'm always ready to talk about nutrition and health, that's for sure. And I'm very impressed by the audience today. I'm very grateful because we have a very large breadth of viewers today. And I hope we'll get some support and questions during our conversation today.
Let me I wanted to ask you, you have some accent. I have an accent, so they know I look Indian. So there is not much there. So where do you, can you give me your background a little bit? Where were you born? And, I said the Democratic Republic of Congo. I said that, where were you born? Where did you study? A little bit background of yours, it would be great.
Sure. So I was nearly born in the Congo, but there was the independence, and I was born from my mom, who was a refugee at the time from Congo to Belgium. And then within a few months, my parents went back into Congo. So I grew up there. So for until I was in high school. And then I went to Belgium and stayed there to study. Went to medical school, and my heart was with DRC. That's where I grew up, so that's home. And I definitely wanted to go back and do some work there. And so my journey has taken me to a lot of studying. I did some global health before I went to the Congo, worked there, then went to Bangladesh, came to the US, started all over again. So I decided to do a residency in pediatrics because that's where my heart was also. Did a PhD at Harvard School of Public Health, and did a fellowship in nutrition in UPenn. This was the first fellowship in pediatric nutrition in the country, and I was the second one enrolled. So I've had my feet wet all over the place, and I have learned many lessons across all those challenges and beautiful stories.
Let me start with the first question, and then I will pass to Susan. She knows more about nutrition than I was born in India, and then the time where that malnutrition was rampant when I was born. My father is a small village doctor and a teacher, and malnutrition. Then all of a sudden, India changed 180 degrees. Now we see obesity is growing in India. What that switch? What is the structural change? Do you think from that? From that, some people say Monsanto, or some people say organic food. What is exactly the real science behind it? Can you give us a little bit? Plenty of food we are eating more, or what is the structural change in that sense?
I mean, what we have seen over the past couple of decades is that countries who have been in transition, like India, who has really rised up, they have also westernized in many ways and acculturated in many ways, unfortunately. The types of food have changed. A lot of fast foods or ultra processed foods, and that has been a major change in environment with all these new stresses and the way the food is packaged and the way the food has been consumed has changed dramatically. And I know we have several investigators and educators today here from India, and I've been working beautifully with a group, BioQuest, in India through what we call a PPP, a public-private partnership. And that has given me the chance to go many times in India and see what was going on there, talking with thousands of doctors from different contexts, and realized that many people had found creatively what they could do in some parts of India, not on others. And so I loved my time there because we had a lot of discussions and actually helped network there. And I think that was very successful there. So I love India, and I'm very happy you're talking about India.
So just to add to that, Romana, which was a really good question. I mean, thinking about when you grew up and the food and nutrition that was available versus today. And Dr. Lenders, you had a report on your site that was recently about obesity around the whole world. And the numbers from 25-year-olds and up were going up everywhere exponentially in Africa, Asia. I mean, the United States has been known for their obesity for a long time, but I found it surprising that Africa and Asia were catching up, just like you just said, and India, Romana. What about the numbers in children? What about under 25? Is it mimicking the same?
Yeah, they're going up too. And the problem is that it's a transgenerational problem, a transgenerational problem. So you expose when you're young, and if you're less than 5, and some people say less than 2, less than 5, and obviously during the maximum of your velocity of growth for your brain and your body, you are exposed to certain nutrients, or you're not, to certain environment, and these may be toxic to your body. And so what we are seeing right now is a major increase in the young age. And the problem is, the longer the duration of obesity, the worse off young adults and adults will be, because the longer the duration, the more comorbidity complication you have.
So on top of that, something you just mentioned, there was something else that I read. It was I believe in the 1950s, 1953 perhaps, in the UK. It was a study, something I think you mentioned somewhere on your site where I read, where sugar was rationed. And forgive me for not understanding or not remembering the history around that time frame in the UK, 1953, but that sugar was rationed. And so that children that went up like the first 1,000 days of their life without sugar ended up having far better cardiovascular health. Shocker, right? Much later in life. So surely that nutrition in those very first early years and days sets the tone for our health for the rest of our life, correct?
We need a sugar ration in the United States. A great point.
Everywhere, Romana.
And actually, we are now really getting a very good view about what's happening during those 1,000 days, which is from conception until 2 years of age. And what we are observing is what the mother is eating is some of the substances that are on the food, but also some of the substances that she inhales are affecting actually the fetus. So they're getting those substances in utero. And so there are trials that have shown, if you are giving, for example, a flavored cereal with carrots to a group of pregnant women, and the other you don't, and they continue during lactation, because at that time the products go into the breasts, the kids who are born to the moms who have been eating those carrot flavored cereals are more likely to eat faster those and to have healthy behaviors. So it's very interesting that from the get-go, we already have all those textures and all those flavors that are already hitting us in utero, and then again during breastfeeding period. And so breastfeeding, as you know, is a very important time for the babies, and as much as women are able to, it's the best for the child.
So that's a nutritional phenomena in itself. And I don't know if we want to get off on that tangent of Romana's favorite topic, breastfeeding, but I was looking at some of the reports for low and middle income countries. I believe there's something like 168 low and middle income countries. And I was surprised at some of the lower numbers of women breastfeeding for longer periods of time. And then I don't know enough around that study to realize that it's probably the nutrition that the mother has preventing the mother from, I don't know that I don't know behind, but is it, I would think there would be more, it would be easier to breastfeed, but is that a nutritional problem from the mother upstream?
I mean, I mean, the nutrition status of the mom is going to impact the nutrition status of the child. So if, for example, you have a mom who is vegan, who doesn't take a prenatal pills during breastfeeding or during lactation, she can have a kid. And we have had some cases like that with tremendous deficiency in vitamin B12. And so you can have nutrition status with certain nutrients that are impacted. But I think what you observe, you say that there is not so much breastfeeding. You were surprised about that. And there, it's multifactorial. The moms have to go back to work. Many women work now. And so there's no facilities in many countries to be able to breastfeed. So that's going to cut down things. You don't have the income to get pumps so that you can pump some breast milk and leave it at home. So it's very complicated to breastfeed. There's a lot of taboos also. Women are looked upon when they try to breastfeed their babies outside of their home. So there's multiple factors that play into difference in attitudes in different countries. And in this country, there's a big push, and in many countries too. Like there is a UNICEF work that has been done. It's the friendly hospitals, where there is like 10 rules so that the moms are going to be able to be more likely to start breastfeeding. But the problem is how long this is going to happen if you don't have the support. And our society is fragmented, right? We don't have those extended families like we had before. And so we don't have the support. We don't know how to do things. Nobody showed us. And in the past, you saw things, the aunt would come and help you. And in many societies, this is gone, and that's the case of ours. So our rates are pretty, I mean, we start at a better place, and the place where I work in Boston Medical, they're very, very good at that. And there are many hospitals who have endorsed those. But the problem is to sustain, because there's so many stressors and so many challenges for women to continue breastfeeding. It's cheaper, but it's not convenient.
Fascinating.
And when I was over abroad a few decades ago, one of the things was that it was more prestigious to give a bottle than to breastfeed. So that, I mean, there's so many factors that play into it.
Fascinating. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome.
So, Ramona, do you want to jump in? Because otherwise, I think I was going to switch gears. And as a nurse, I was going to say, kind of one of the foundations of all, I think the foundation of all medicine is what we put in our mouth from day one. So we started with breastfeeding. So now we can move up a little bit. So the importance of what we eat, you are what you eat. So that was the same forever. But I know that many, many, many doctors have not as much nutritional education as we would think they would as physicians. And so I feel like you've been doing a lot of work in that area, creating curriculum for both in the medical and the dental world, bringing nutrition, the very, very, very importance of the foundation of the diseases that they're treating are found in nutrition. So I think it's truly the most foundational topic there is. Talk to us about education and what physicians today versus 20 years ago are getting in that area.
Great question.
I mean, to some extent, it has improved somewhat. There was a recent AAMC survey that was posted last year that showed that actually something like more than 90% of the school now have some nutrition in their school. But what does that mean, right? It may be a class, it may be a pamphlet, it may be fully integrated in place in the medical school. But what they also observed is that there were only 17% of the school that had really an integrated education curriculum. So there is tons of work to do. Many of our professionals, our primary care, they know certain things that from the get-go during the first few years of life. They are the ones who are providing the information because they're the ones who are seeing those kids all the time. So there is some knowledge there. There is the Academy of Pediatrics, who has a beautiful site where parents can go check things and have some of their question answered, and professionals can learn also. However, nutrition is not just eating, it's metabolism, it's physiology, is the impact on prevention, and then the impact on disease. And unfortunately, there's very little in terms of prevention that we do, either in this country or else. And to me, I think the group that does the best in terms of prevention is probably integrative medicine or Eastern medicine. But Western medicine has been very focused on curative, except for vaccination, that's really preventive. But it's all, it's not, how would I say, lifestyle have come up in the picture not so long ago. I would say when I started at Children's Hospital in Boston, we just started the first clinic, or probably one of the first in the country, for children who had obesity. And there was not much information out there. When I went in Boston Medical after 5 years, and I was a founding director for that clinic there, we had no idea of how to handle families that had children with obesity and were coming from underserved area. To me, it was an incredible eye-opener. I don't remember what the question was.
That's okay.
What's a tangent?
Okay.
Dr. Landis, I have a question, and after that, I hand over to Susan. She's more educated in this area.
Okay.
I asked the same question with Ted Turner's daughter, CNN founder's daughter, Laura Turner. She's a friend of mine. Asked her in a question that she was a champion of environment, organic foods, but Monsanto and all those new food really saved India because we could able to feed the Green Revolution, fed the entire country with 1.4 billion people. I would not have been survived without those kind of a new things. So do you have some kind of a reservations about this new organic food versus Monsanto and all those genetically modified? The food itself is genetically always gets modified, right? By nature itself. So tell me, what is your opinion about these organic food versus these genetically modified foods?
I mean, the conventional foods versus the organic foods. Organic, the nutrients, the studies that have been done, the nutrients appear to be similar. So that doesn't seem to be an issue. Where the issue might come is the type of pesticides that are in one versus the other, the top types of heavy metal that may be, or other substances that may be toxic. So there are concerns around what is put on our food, right? And we know that there are pesticides that are causing cancer in the long run, and some of those are still in circulation right now and used by our farmers. So that's of concern, obviously.
Are there any clear studies there done? Monsanto, these modified foods cause these kind of diseases. Are there any peer-reviewed studies?
It's not that. What I say is that when you use pesticides, it has genetic modified food is something else than using pesticide on food. So In terms of genetically modified, this is not my area of expertise. What I can say is that the organic foods are foods that appear to have the same amount of nutrients, but they may be more favorable at this time by not having extra substances attached to them.
I think it's kind of like the plastics conversation, Dr. Lenders. I mean, any more, can you get away from it anywhere? I mean, the genetically modified grains have been, and foods have been now integrated for a very long time. Getting that back is it possible even? And then I say the plastics because they're so invasive. They're literally in everything, and they're literally everywhere. You can't. It's in your clothes. It's what you eat, and it's what you breathe. It's everywhere. So food,
and in our fetuses too. So
in our fetuses, I mean, the genetics. It's in the epigenetics. It's in the mom's mom, and so that is horrifying in itself. So, but let's go back, to the nutrition. Same thing. How far upstream can we get? I read often about, just for our listeners, perhaps, what is the difference between primary and secondary versus tertiary prevention? So sometimes I think we find out about something and we're in that secondary, maybe even tertiary level. Our goal would be primary prevention.
That's right.
But is often kind of by the time it gets to our plate, we're already in secondary prevention. Really, what's the difference?
So I can tell you in terms of medicals, if I can give you an example, we have noticed through trials that children who plot above a certain BMI and are said overweight, and they are less than 2 years old, those children, you can do a secondary prevention, meaning they look overweight. The percent of kids, that percent of that cohort who is going to grow may or may not be obese, but there is a large percentage of them that can trend into obesity. And that would be secondary prevention because they already have the biomarker, the BMI, of being at risk of trending towards adulthood obesity. Now, if you do an intervention to help those who are not considered overweight when there's that age, with those who are overweight, you're not going to help those who are not overweight. So the intervention at that age seems to be more secondary prevention than prevention per se. But you can have a prevention which is trying to guide the parents to eat the healthy food and talk about quantity and how you introduce the foods and in what type of a sequences. Because we have had major changes in the way the foods are introduced to our kids in the past few years, very recent years.
So, it's hard to imagine obesity being one of the biggest problems on our planet and the leader of all disease. I mean, it's people say obesity is cardiovascular disease, all of them, cancers, you name the disease, the dis-ease. Obesity is a leader for all of them. And it seems the most avertible risk. I mean, we can avert it, but it's so hard swimming upstream on this topic. And it's hard for me, I know, as a nurse, as well as doctors and around the world taking care of patients. There's so many, it's so multifactorial. Like, where do we begin? I mean, people talk about if we did have a nutrition class in nursing school, in doctor school, it's going to be, your macronutrients. We might, A, D, E, and K, fat soluble. I don't know if I even ever learned that vitamin D was a hormone. So, I mean, we are learning topically, and the only way to learn more is if you really dive into it. Where do we begin?
I mean, what has happened for many years is that what we have done in terms of education is simply increase awareness. And that's giving a pamphlet, giving a lecture, talking about a topic, seeing advertisement on the bus that says stop at the next stop so you can walk to your home. But the problem is that this is just awareness. And in order to change behavior, you have to really work with on a one-on-one, because everybody comes from their context. They're doing things their own ways. They may or may not have access to food. So when you start working with a family, there's so many challenges that very often you don't do any nutrition. You're just trying to go around the challenges. So Nutrition 101 is not going to do anything for that. So you need to really, you need to know about Nutrition 101 so that after that you're going to be able to counsel and treat your patients. But it's more than food, if I may say.
You know, I'm in Silicon Valley. Everybody talks about artificial intelligence here. Everything, Uber driver to anybody that you can come across. So,
Mhm.
do you think in the future RTAI is going to play a role? I'm going to present a topic in a minute, but any in the nutrition area?
I'm sure it will, because it looks like it's playing already a big role in medicine,
Mm.
and in the way we interacting with our notes and all our algorithm and everything. Um, sure, I know that things are going to change dramatically. In what ways, I don't know. I'm not an AI person, so you need to have an AI guest coming and talking to you.
I'm going to talk with you about that part right now. Let me
Mhm.
bring that topic. Yeah, Navya, can you bring that presentation and put us on the side? I'm going to talk about that. What is that AI's situation is? Dr. Calendars, you will be surprised how much important the doctors. This is the where computation and medicine begins. A scientific journey I'm going to present. It's a very passive. I did a lot of research on it, and I did a. It's going to be very interesting, and then you can comment on that. On the you can jump in anytime. After that, we can come back and ask you about the nutrition. How can we improve nutrition in our food? What is the daily intake? What are the myths we have about the nutrition? You can talk about that. But let me present my topic a little bit. This is the artificial intelligence is talking about human intelligence. Yeah, the black box is the biggest thing people talk about when you're talking about the AI. That's what I'm going to focus on a little bit about the black box. It is somehow connected with the limitations of AI, limitations of artificial intelligence. Let me talk about that a little bit. There is a big tech billionaire. His name is Vinod Khosla. He's from Indian origin. He is the founder, he is the investor in Zogdog. He said that in 20 years, now in few years, there will not be no doctors. So everything is going to be AI robot. But he is making a biggest a category error. Not a he's a smart guy. There's no question about that. But it's a category error. What is a category error is? You cannot say what is the color of number seven. That is a category error. Assumption is a medicine is fully computational. He was making that mistake. It is not. I'm going to prove that it is not a computational all the way. So let me talk about black boxes. Everybody talks about black boxes. Actually, there is a lot of misunderstanding about black boxes in the artificial intelligence. There are four kind of black boxes in the artificial intelligence. They unfortunately they all put under the one same name. Technology people are very good in selling that kind of thing, but actually they are all four different. First, fixable box. I'm going to talk about this one. This is the kind of thing we give input, it comes output. That is what the transformer network AI does that. There is inside the AI, and then you give input and it tells you what to do. If I want an Indian curry, Andhra chicken curry, like Susan likes it, if I want it, I give you all the input, it brings you what are the output is. Then I know I can figure out what it did inside. I can see through a little bit. Maybe sometimes it may not be accessible, but I can use technology. The kind of black box I can be solved is a matter of time. I can find out what it's doing inside. But there is another black box that's a problematic. That is, the system does not explain how it thinks. We can give you input, it gives you output, but it doesn't give you inner workings. We do not know what it does. Better tools do not change this. You cannot use technology to find out. You can, like asking, can you find your grandmother's photo in your brain? You cannot. So that is the situation there. So you have no access to the inner workings there. There is a structural limit, human limit there. You cannot find what is going on in the box, the type of box this is. This is the AI, special black box in AI. The system does not explain how it thinks. Better tools do not change anything. You have no access inside. That is a box number 2. This is a problem because I'm trying to explain the only input and output are visible. We don't know the inner workings. That is a box number 2. Black box number 3 is much more complicated a little bit. We cannot fully predict the results in advance. Unless you finish the computation, you don't know the result. You do not know the result until the computation is done. So you give a molecule, you wanted a medicine, you do not know until it comes out whether it works or not. You have to wait. Computation is done. This uncertainty does not go away. It is not something in the future you can find out. It's a structural limit. It's a block. The truth is blocked from you. It's no way you can solve. Not in the future, not in a forever. That's a universal block. That is a black box number 3. There's a much more bigger box. Is a combination of both. You do not know what is going on inside, and you have to wait until they finish all the computation. It is a double whammy. No access to inner workings. Outcome waits until it finishes. Black box number 2 is emergence plus. These are the 4 types of black boxes that exist in the AI. They're not telling you. That's what people talk about black box number 1, which is fixable. But 3 other black boxes cannot be fixable. They are structural limits. It's not some time will not solve. No laws of physics you cannot reach out inside. That's it. End of the story. That's where I'm going to give you some examples of the black boxes in a general everyday life. Everybody see this movie this show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right? This is a lifeline. They ask them, take 2 choices, or ask expert, or ask audience. 3 choices they have. You know what is a surprising thing in this one? It is expert. The ask audience is 91% of the times they are better choice. If you ever see the video of those spectators, the audience in that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, they're not Albert Einsteins or Madame Curie's, I can tell you. So they are, if you see them, how can be possible a audience can give a better choice than the expert? That is really a mystery. Kind of black box. Probably we can solve it, but that is one of the examples of the black box I'm giving you in everyday life. I'm going to give you another black box example. Ants. The stupid ants there is no blueprint, no central authority, but they know how to find the food in an optimal route. Eventually they find out the shortest distance between them and the route, and then all the other ants follow. Amazing intelligence they use. They use the emergent complex behavior comes out of the simple rules. This algorithm, ants algorithm, is used in the supply chain mechanism right now. We are learning from ants how to use the delivery systems now. So there is a black box that we don't understand. If you look at the ant, you can tell it has that intelligence to build a colony, and it has intelligence of finding the optimal routes. That is a kind of a black box. But I'm going to give you another example. There is a chemistry prize came in. David Baker, Demis Abbasis, and the John Jumper won the Nobel Prize in 2024 for the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the protein folding. They discovered protein folding general formula, but there is a mystery. I tell you about it. They did excellent work. I'm not taking away any credit, but I tell you something. They don't know what is inside, what went inside. It's through the general formula. They did not know how it came out. That is a mystery. So they did not find what went on inside to come up with this general protein. That's why they did not get the Nobel Prize in medicine. They got the Nobel Prize in chemistry because they don't have a disease mechanisms. They did not understand the disease mechanisms. So they were selected for chemistry, not in medicine. Not so. This Nobel Prize is a She joining, keep joining. I don't know what.
Oh, you left this time.
Okay. So the black box is the biggest black box. So technology people don't like me because if I say this, I give them all the credit. They did a lot of hard work. I'm not taking away their credit. But the black box still remains there. But there is a much more worse black box exists for that process. What is that? That is, not only they know that formula, huge amount of data they gave. The black box, we don't know, no access to inside what the workings are. It gave the general formula for the folding formula. We can use that formula. It's a brilliant formula. It gives you 200 million protein structures. It's an excellent work they did. They deserve the Nobel Prize, no question about it. But I'm going to tell you something funny, is that black box, if you take the formula, not only that the inner access, you don't have the inner workings, and also you have to wait until the computation is done. You have to wait all the way to the irreducible computational complexity. That is a fundamental restriction on the black box. So you will not know until the computation is done. You have to wait. If you have medicine, if you are waiting for an experimental medicine to come out, you have to wait for the computations done. It's not easy because it still is unpredictable in that sense. There is no certainty in the prediction. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. That is is a restriction by the nature. So a lot of people don't understand this black box problem is a serious problem. That is called emergence. I call it as emergence plus. No knowledge, no access of inner workings of the process. The irreducible, no shortcuts until computation is done. This is not something you can solve. You cannot solve. It's a structural mystery. It is a nature put a hidden laws. These are the laws we don't have access to. So this is that's where emergence plus, I use this word as a term frequently. That's what my LLMs told us. Frequently used by Ramana Annamraju is to describe a structural limit in AI systems where emergent behavior and a computational irreducibility prevent access to internal mechanisms and a pre-validation, especially in healthcare in a context. So you don't know the inner workings, you don't know until the computation finish, you don't know the final result. In the healthcare, there's a bigger problem. That's a structural mystery. So why medicine needs clinicians, that's where here my answer for the scientific answer. AI fails. AI's job is only one thing: must compute, must output, must optimize. So your grandmother is optimization. She should not, how long she need to live. That's optimization. She will work. AI is very good at that. Yeah, maybe if one day it's cost you too much money, probably finish off taking the lifeline off. I'm just kidding. But that is the role of the AI. Role is computes, output, optimize. That's all it does. Doctors are very different. Doctors succeed because they can pause, they can contextualize in the real life, they can hold on, in uncertainty times. Hey, I'm going to hold it. They refuse that medicine. Hey, I'm not going to give that because I see that something not working as a human mind they use. Care is they take responsibility. AI is not responsible. AI companies, doctors doctors get sued. AI's company is not going to get sued. So all those things, doctors must present. There is no way you can solve that problem. The doctors, a knowledgeable doctor, has to be essentially involved in the care system. You cannot replace them because structural mystery you cannot solve. That is embedded in the nature. So how do you solve that? How do you? So the structural mystery is not an abstract. Addressing structural mystery, not abstract. We can quantify. That's why I was talking with, I presented this topic about the human care capacity and the healing index. The two things, or the two products that I created. This is a MedBricks predictor. These are the computational, but very different computational. It is a subjective computational. That means it does tell you how. I give you the judgment to the doctors to do that. I can tell you whether that system has a capacity to make that prejudgment on the patients. This measures the prejudgment, free will of the doctors. It measures. It is how much judgment they have. So the healthcare system can freely deliver that part of the judgment side. So these are not KPIs. They're not KPIs structurally missing in health dimensions that I'm doing. Clinical judgments carries embedded responsible agency. That is a responsible clinical judgment is embedded responsible agency. The predictor measures whether structural conditions are sufficient for that agency to function safely and effectively. The healthcare system must maintain human presence, clinical presence, because of the structural mystery there. I quantify that how much human presence, how many clinicians you need, how many nurses you need, that we came up back with the index. So you cannot avoid, if somebody rushing to the judgment to putting AIs without understanding it, can cause a collapse of the system. So a structural mystery, we must act before outcomes known. That is a risk is uncertainty creates of overload, error, and trust erosion. That is a bigger problem in healthcare system. The solution is protect human care capacity, protect the doctors, nurses, clinical staff. Clinicians can act safely under uncertainty. That you can quantify that actually. Result is stabilized care produces sustainable healing measured through the healing index. So the doctors must be inseparable from the AI cannot replace by structural problems that it inherently comes with it. So if some people say scientific progress, I'm going to talk about that. So we need I love AI. I'm not an anti-AI. I ran this program at a Kaiser Permanente, came number one. Geisinger is the next one. There is a lot of other systems came in the. I put this human care capacity system. We ran through the program. This Mayo Clinic is number 4. So a lot of these companies, some of the fee-for-service companies did horrible. So this is the system we need. The why we cannot replace doctors and nurses, because That is structural mystery. That's one of them. I'm going to talk about next week. I'm going to talk about something else. Emergency plus. I spoke about the black boxes. Black box problem is inherent. The next problem is going to be the next week. I'm going to talk about irreversibility, responsibility. Once you make a decision, I can reverse it back. Patient is dead. You cannot reverse it back. So that irreversibility is a physical problem, science of physics. The third one is entropy information. This is a serious problem. Entropy information is basically entropy information. AI adds the data. AI, artificial intelligence, adds data and information. It doesn't add care. That's a wrong judgment if you think it just adds care. It doesn't add a care. It adds the information. You overload the cognitive load, increases the cognitive load of the doctor and nurses. So I'm going to talk about the physical limits. The last one is where the corruption comes, energy and power. There is a lot of corruption, politics, everything comes in the energy and power. You need a huge amount of data centers, that requirement, which is not really true, because AI doesn't store data. AI data centers don't store data. They need data, but they don't store. Once they only store the context, relationships. Once you reach a threshold, you don't need any more. It can simulate the data. You can reason and think. So this energy and power requirements is a somewhat questionable. We need to really, public has to question that $500 billion of energy and power requirement for these data centers what is that for particularly from healthcare point of view, you don't need it. That $500 billion investment, you don't need a huge data centers. That's what need to be watched. So I'm going to talk about every week this topic about the limit. I'm a AI. I'm a pro AI. It doesn't mean I'm an anti-AI. AI can do replacing physicians with AI, mistakes, optimization for judgment. There is two different things. Optimization is AI does a beautiful, but judgment cannot do the judgment. This two human judgment is entirely different. Autonomy preserved through mathematical scientific framework. I give back through my mathematical framework. I gave the autonomy to the doctors and nurses back. It's a preserved, actually, autonomy. One of the major chief complaints about the doctors' chief complaint is they lost their autonomy. This mathematical scientific framework gives you back that's autonomy. Thank you for watching, and I hope I shed some light on the artificial intelligence. Let me bring back my guests and let me see what they say. I mean, Dr. Lenders, let me take your opinion on that.
Oh, well, personally, I think, and I've always told that to my students, is 95% of what a doctor does is to hold hands with their families. We are emotional creatures, and we need to feel the empathy, we need to feel the caring, and there's no way you can do that with a machine, at least at this time, maybe in a while. But I think that to be successful when you work across systems and economies, what you want is not to transfer solution, but really work on principles. And those principles are listening, it's adapting yourself, adapting capacity, it's humility, it's collaborating, it's readiness for alignment, it's sustainable self-boundaries or group boundaries. I think that we need to work on principles, not on just solutions.
Absolutely. What do you think, Susan?
Oh, so well said. Dr. Lenders just brought the humanity right back. You took us on a wonderful journey, Ramana, and thank you for that. Amazing. I mean, the whole black box concept of what goes in and who knows what the heck's happening in the middle, and then we just get what we get when it comes out, and how many people are just taking what comes out as rote. They're not conceptualizing that we don't know what happened in the middle and where is it getting it and how is it consuming it and putting it together, and we're just going to take it. And so for you to wrap up your presentation with the humanness of healthcare, and Dr. Lenders just to second that with all those virtues of being human. It's all I'm agreeing. It's all about the relationships. Being here on this show, just so grateful for you to share your expertise with us. We are truly interested in highlighting the humanness in the humans doing great things for our humans on this planet. And I think that will always prevail.
Yeah, that is what Dr. Lenders is doing, with holding hands and talking with the people and teaching them everything that is they need to know about that, right? Dr. Lenders, I give you a final word for that. Just to tell us what the nutrition really a fundamental basis for humanity's nurture, right? So what that should not be that should be the foundation for all the humanity. So tell us a little bit about that, and then we can go then.
Just like the basics, the basic core needs.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I'm asking you what is the role of the nutrition in the whole nurturing itself, not just medicine, nurturing. If I have for example, I give you an example of one thing area, psychology in mental health. People think mental health, nutrition is not connected with the mental health. It is directly connected with the mental.
I see what you want to say. Okay. So, I mean, nutrition is everywhere. We are what we eat. And it's a field of expertise. It's not recognized still, but nutrition is an expertise that it's like if you have a car and I have a car, I put gas in it. That's not sure. I know what I put in the car, but that doesn't tell me that I know how to repair it. And that's the role of the RDs and the MDs who work in nutrition and practice, is understanding what's going on under that. And that's how evidence is created with research and so on. And so nutrition is a part of our life. We are what we eat, and we need to educate more of our colleagues through the continuum of education, from medical school to CMEs. And it's going to take a lot of work to really reframe our countries. But I believe the momentum is in. There are efforts internationally, nationally. I try to work on both. And I think I see some windows of opportunities right now. So hold on, the train left station.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so
Dr.
true.
Lenders, thank you so much. Joining with us is truly an honor and privilege, particularly with your qualifications, with your international background. It is a lot of education for all of us. Thank you so much for joining. Let Susan say a final word and say after.
Yeah, lately I've been thinking a lot about humans. If we could just think of ourselves similar to the plants and the trees. If you think about how grand a sequoia grows with sunlight, water, and absorbing the nutrients from the soil. That's it. That's all they get. And look how grand they grow. So less is more. I wish we could somehow make nutrients, the macros and the micros, just common sense for us. But thank you for the work you do globally. Everything comes down to the nutrition. We are what we eat. And thank you so very much, especially from a pediatrician's viewpoint. Catch them young and let them grow to be sequoias. So thank you so much for your time with us tonight.
Thank you
all.
for me, and thanks to the audience.
Thank you all. Good night. Thank you all.
We are retelling their stories through our patented designs that can be worn on scrubs, t-shirts, printed on conference bags, and endless other promotional materials. Daily Wear for Medicine is the first ever of its kind to create curiosity in medicine through visual art. We at MedBricks are celebrating unsung heroes of the past who made enormous contributions to the field of medicine through our unique campaign called Daily Wear for Medicine. You can wear it, carry it, and give it.